Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Save-A Library podcast. This is a What Are You Into episode, and this week I am joined by Tory. Welcome, Tory.
Hey.
And Rachel.
Hey.
Hey, Rachel. Thanks for coming on. So in a What Are You Into episode, we talk about what we're into right now. So I'm just going to start things off. I am into a book. It is currently my favorite book of the year. I know we're only halfway through, but I think I'm going to be talking about this book again at the end of the year when we do our best ofs. The book is called James by Percival Everett. Very, very popular right now. Percival Everett is on a roll. His book, Erasure, got adapted into American fiction, which was nominated for an Oscar last year. So he is keeping the momentum going by releasing this book, which is an adaptation of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain.
Oh, that's cool.
But this adaptation is from the perspective of James in this version, the slave. So if you don't know the story, basically in this telling, James is a slave. He discovers that he's going to be sold by his owner, so rather than being separated from his family and potentially never seeing them again, he decides to try to escape, which he does. And while he's hiding out on an island, he encounters Huck Finn, who is a young white boy who has also run away from home to escape his abusive father. And the two kind of team up together to escape north. And it's about their relationship. That's basically the plot of the story. But where this book differs from Mark Twain's original is when the two become separated several times throughout the story. This one follows James rather than Huck Finn. So Percival Everett gets to take some creative licenses on all those tangents and takes it into a much darker place, as I'm sure you can imagine. But overall it's a fantastic story. Like it's very gripping story. It's also very satirical. Not fun, I wouldn't say it's a funny story, but Percival Everett does have a way of writing that can make things very comical, and there are some very actual funny scenes in the book, but overall it's a much darker tone than his previous books. Also, when James goes on these tangents away from Huck Finn, we get to be introduced to new characters. One of the more notable characters is Norman Brown, who is a mixed race man who is posing as a white minstrel, and that goes on a very interesting tangential story. And then those two characters' fates become intertwined for quite a while. But it's just a really, really well-told story. It's always engaging. Percival Everett imagines James as sort of a philosopher. It's sort of like a meta-narrative where James in his telling is a highly intellectual man, and he's philosophizing on slavery and race relations and everything, which, for the time doesn't really make sense, if historically, but he uses this as sort of like a plot device for having Percival Everett have a voice in the story as well. And he also pushes back the story a few years where James butts up against the Civil War, the beginning of the Civil War, where I think Huckleberry Finn, the original novel, is set years before. I don't think there's ever any crossover with the Civil War from what I remember. It's been years since I read Huck Finn. But in any case, I think this is just a really well done book. I think this is going to be one that stands the test of time. I think it should absolutely be read in tandem with Huck Finn, especially if you're reading it in school. Like, this is definitely appropriate for high schoolers. It does go very dark at some points, but it's nothing a high schooler couldn't take. It's just a really important book, and I think it's just beautifully written. It tells a very timely story, and it humanizes the character Jim from Huck Finn, who is now a fully fleshed out character with emotions, whereas, one of the criticisms of Huck Finn is Jim's character is basically, he's only there to show the growth of Huck, whereas in this book it's sort of reversed, where you can see both characters grow, and now James has a full life and story to tell, and it's a great story. There's also an important twist in this book, where Percival Everett takes a little bit of liberty with the tale that I will not spoil here, but it does shed a completely new light on the story of Huck Finn, which I think is worth reading if you enjoy the original novel. This one you might not know exactly where it's going to go. I will say that. It's just a fantastic book. I'll talk about it more in the best of 2024 podcast that we do later in the year. But
unless something better comes out and then it gets bumped.
That's also true. But I am also on 3 best of episodes, so
that's true.
We'll see.
I feel like this is the perfect time for him to have released that book because he didn't have a lot of current, I want to say, like name recognition until the American Fiction movie came out, which was an excellent movie. Yeah. So I feel like all of the hype from that movie made the timing for this book very set up well.
And I think this is his most accessible book as well. I've read 2 of his other books, and this one is much more right down the middle in terms of plot. It does have some metatextual stuff, but it's not like really oddball like Dr. No, and it's not doing a lot of like social commentary like strictly like Erasure sort of does. This one's kind of more down the middle plot-wise.
And anchored in a familiar story.
Exactly. But I honestly think this is like a great novel. Like it will stand the test of time. I'm willing to put my money down on that. And if you can wait a little bit, you're not a big reader. It just got picked up by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, really?
Wow.
He's producing it, and Taika Waititi is directing this movie. You probably won't be out for 2 years, 3 years or so, but I'm not surprised at all. Like, it reads like a movie. You know, it's very
cinematic.
Right, cinematic in your face, yeah. So James Percival Everett, it probably still has quite a long wait list on it. The second I heard they were making this book, I was put my name on the hold list for it. But check it out. It's my favorite book of the year right now.
It's a good recommendation.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
I also have a book to talk about today. I'm keeping on a theme. We talked in a recent episode about the Tony Awards and musicals, so I've got musicals on the brain. I mean, I usually do anyway, I guess. But so my book that I'm going to be talking about is called Everything Was Possible, The Birth of the Musical Follies by Ted Chapin. And this book is the story of... Well, it's not a story, it's nonfiction. Ted Chapin was a college student at the time that they were developing the Stephen Sondheim musical Follies back in the 1970s. And because the beginning of the production of the musical coincided with the beginning of one of his school semesters, he was able to convince the school to let him do a project where he just was a production assistant on the show, and then he got school credit for it. So he was there for the entire out-of-town tryout of the show, all the way through when it moved into the theater that it was eventually in on Broadway. And he kept a journal of his whole experience. So he was there for the rehearsals and rewrites and all of the drama between the stars of the cast, which was considerable. You wouldn't really think, but they had a lot of big names in the original cast of Follies, and they butted heads a little bit. And Follies is a musical. It's one of my favorite Sondheim musicals. So hearing the behind the scenes in such detail, and from the point of view of somebody who was not an insider, he was like an outsider looking in at the production, was just super interesting. And he had a lot of personal connections with the cast and Sondheim himself. So it was interesting to hear that story. And actually last night I was at Carnegie Hall, a concert presentation of Follies, and Ted Chapin, who wrote this book, was the MC for the whole night and shared some more of his stories throughout the night. So that was a treat to see him, and he talked a little bit about the book as well. So if you like Sondheim or just hearing behind-the-scenes stories of productions of musicals, this was really detailed, but it's not a super long read. I also listened to the audiobook of it, which is narrated by Jonathan Groff, who a lot of people love Jonathan Groff.
Yeah.
So check it out. If you're a musical theater person, there's a lot of things to like about it, I would say.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What is Follies about?
So Follies is the story of a theater that in the 60s or 70s that is about to be torn down, the Weissman Theater, and back in like the 1910s to the 1940s, the Dmitri Weissman Follies were held there. So there was a lot of big shows, and so before they tear the theater down, the owner of the theater brought back all of the showgirls from all of those decades for one last party. And they do a series of performances from when they were younger and in the shows. So a lot of songs that are in the styles of old-timey music. But while this is happening, 4 people, 2 of the performer women and their husbands, are sort of reliving their interpersonal drama that they had at the time. Their relationships were not... The pairs that they are in now were not necessarily the pairs that they were in there. And some of them have questioned the choices that they made that got them to where they are now. And so the reuniting at this party is giving them a chance of... what if we had made different choices? What if you and I were together? How would it have gone differently? Would I be happier? And so it does that with the backdrop of revisiting the old-time Follies with appearances by ghostly apparitions of their younger selves who sometimes will perform with them or sometimes perform behind them, and you'll see like the ghost of what they used to be. It's a very beautiful, sumptuous score. It's got one of the best overtures in a Broadway show, in my opinion, which has a song that's not even part of the show, but it's just really beautiful.
Sounds great, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Old Steve.
He
really knows how to put them together, doesn't he?
Knows how to make a hit. There's no recording of Follies, but listening to just the original Broadway cast recording, I recommend. It's like you could close your eyes and be off in another world from the music.
While you were talking about the book, I was frantically going into Letterboxd to see if there was a movie adaptation of Follies, and I don't think there is one, which is probably why I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. It's one of the few of his that haven't been like a stage record. Like, there's a lot of recordings of the stage productions of his shows, and for some reason there is not one of Follies. There is a recording of, I believe, a 1985 concert that brought back some of the original cast, but some just other big names like Mandy Patinkin to do the songs. So if you want to see the songs performed, that's also a good way to learn about Follies.
Cool. Rachel, what are you into?
I'm also going to talk about a book.
We love books at the library.
We love books here.
I know, it's such a coincidence. So this book fits in nicely with Pride Month. It's called We Could Be So Good by Sebastian. And it is about 2 men in the 1950s in Brooklyn. And they find out that they are both gay. And the short story is they both fall in love at a time when gay men or anybody who was really gay in the 50s were considered to be... there's something wrong with them. Like, homosexuality was a mental disorder back then. It was considered like you were something wrong with you. So there's the 2 main characters. Their names are Andy Fleming, and he is an heir to a newspaper that his father owns. And he just starts working there reluctantly, doesn't really have anything else to do, no real drive yet, doesn't know what to do with himself. And he meets Nick Russo, who is a reporter, and he's more of the tough Brooklyn type. And they become friends, and Nick Russo kind of takes on Andy as a friend, but also the way Andy was portrayed as someone who may be on the spectrum back then. He's really disorganized. He doesn't have a lot of social skills. And Nick kind of takes him under his wing, and they become best friends. So they end up falling in love, and they have to decide what to do. Do they accept that at the time where they could have both been fired, they could have both been ostracized from their society and everything, or do they just pretend like everything's okay and nothing happened and keep going? But I thought it was a really interesting story, just based on the decade, the 1950s. And, I feel like a lot of stories go back to the 70s, maybe the 80s, but the 1950s is even earlier. And it made me think wow, what life was like really back then if you were LGBTQ. And, you could lose your job. Police would raid a lot of bars they would hang out in. That was always something scary that could happen. Didn't really have a lot of social spaces to hang out in. And everything kind of had to be under the table, so to speak, where if you know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah, coded language.
Right. So I thought that was it was an interesting part of the book, an interesting idea. And she has a second book, a sequel, coming out that I haven't read yet, but I'm on the wait list for it on Libby. And we have this book on Libby and in physical copy too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way you were describing it didn't sound like it would be a series, but yeah, it's interesting. It's
interesting too because I don't really those kind of romances aren't really my thing, of any gender or whatever. But this one really, I love the characters, and I didn't want the book to end because they felt like real people to me. And I really wanted to keep continuing finding out, like, how does their life go? Like, what happens to them? And also, an interesting note, too, is Andy, who was the son of the newspaper owner, his father was actually very accepting of him when he came out, which is also something that was really, different at the time. Thinking his father was born in the early 1900s, maybe 1910s, and he was still like, you're my son, and that's never gonna stop just because you're gay. So
that's great. Sounds like a great novel.
I like what you said about you don't hear a lot of LGBT stories in the 50s because it was such a taboo, and you hear rumors about like celebrities at the time who maybe but what was it like, and what happened to those people? So I think the fact that it is a series, like, where do you go from that?
Yeah, no, I feel like there's a lot of different areas you can take it to.
You could visit them in every decade.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, just because the 1950s was a crazy time, like socially, politically, and then the 60s, and then it's interesting to think about going back even further than that. And I like a good New York City based novel too. So
sure. Sounds great.
I like a good romance, so it sounds good to me. Alex, what else are you into?
Thanks, Rachel. So the next thing I'm into is a video game called...
I knew it.
Yeah, well, of course it's coming. You can only read so many books. The next thing I'm into is a game called Pentiment. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's a 2D narrative role-playing game set in the 16th century Bavaria.
Where do you find these things?
You play as a journeyman artist, Andreas Mahler, who has taken up residency in a Benedictine abbey overlooking the rural town of Tassing. Your unique position gives you access to both communities of Tassing, the cloistered land-owning church, and the disquieted villagers below. One day, a baron arrives to check on his commissioned painting at the abbey, and later that day, is murdered.
Oh my God.
And because of your unique position, you are tasked, or you take it upon yourself to find out who the murderer is. So that is the setup of this game that takes some crazy turns. This is one of the best stories I have ever experienced, certainly in gaming, but it's up there with some of the best books and movies I've experienced as well. It just won a Peabody Award for its writing.
Have games historically won a lot of Peabody Awards?
Not many.
Wow.
This was the only one, I believe, this year. The game came out in 2022, so I was a little surprised when it won last year, but whatever. It deserved it, certainly. The game is broken up into 3 acts. The first act is basically what I just described to you. The second act, without spoiling too much, because it is something that should be experienced fresh, does jump ahead a few years, and it's interesting because all of the choices you make in the first act carry over to the second and then the third, from the second to the third as well, or even from the first all the way through. So this isn't like a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons where you're fighting things or whatever. It's a real, like a true role, like you are playing this character. The decisions you make affect the world, the town, what the outcome of this investigation or other things. So it's really, really fascinating to see how it plays out. And if the game was a little shorter, I would do it again just to make some different choices and see how it plays out. But I think by the end it is around like 14 hours or so. So it's too much for me to go through. It's a pretty heavy game too. Like it was emotionally draining at certain points. And even in between the acts, there are some sort of dream sequence sort of scenes that are especially heavy, and I even got choked up at one point. And
Wow.
I can count on one hand the amount of times a book or a movie or something has gotten me like that emotionally like invested. So this game, like, that's a big recommendation for me alone. The game itself, it's like I said, 2D, and the artwork of the game reflects the subject matter, so it all looks like it is the illustrations of like a medieval manuscript. So it's like that style of artwork. Like you look like you're walking on a 2D plane of like a painting, or like like the illustrations in books from like the 1500s. And then as a matter of fact, when you walk off the screen to like go to like the next area, the camera kind of zooms out and it's a book. Yeah, it flips pages and then goes back into the picture again. So it's really, really stylized and very, very, very cool. The game is pretty heavy with its themes and everything. It's, it's about class warfare. It's about religion, faith. All of these things are tied up into the plot, but they do have some very comical moments tied in that, make light on the time period and the artwork. Like some very funny things, like when you're flipping through the pages, like you can see some like scribblings in the corners and stuff that's like very Monty Python-esque. So there is some like stuff like that to kind of break up the seriousness of the story. There's no voice acting. It's all, you read everything, but every character has a unique script for their character. So like, you're talking to like a monk or something, and it's like very neat, like penmanship and everything, and then you'll talk to like a villager, and it's like very quickly scratched in, and it's really it's really, really interesting. And there's a documentary about the making of this game that's on YouTube by No Clip. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's like an hour long, but it's really interesting because the artists involved did a lot of research on this time period and this era, and everything is like by what it was like at that time. So like the way the characters walk is the way they walked back then. Like all the clothing, the dyes are historically accurate. The way they spoke, the language, everything is like exactly the way it should be. So yeah, they really put their work in on this game.
What's it called again?
It's called Pentiment. Unfortunately, it's an Xbox exclusive, but yeah. Xbox owns it. It's a Microsoft game. You can play it on Switch and PlayStation, but it's physical. It's digital only, so we don't have a copy of it at the library. It's unfortunate because this game, all you're doing is walking left and right and talking to people. It would be a great mobile game, and it's unfortunate because it's Microsoft. They're going to keep it exclusive to digital storefronts. But it would be great if they adapted this to a mobile app, because all you're doing is walking and talking to people.
That was going to be my question, because unfortunately you always sell these games so hard, and you know that I am not a gamer, so I'm just like, I want to play that, but I'm afraid of how accessible it will be to me in terms of the gameplay. But this is like a really heavy story based, like you're just making choices, or is there
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of mysteries at all, like you are solving a mystery. It's not like it's slow.
But it's not like somebody can come
boring.
kill me in the game and then the game's over.
Right.
Like there's no bosses.
So that's an important thing I should note. Like no matter what your choices are, the story progresses.
Okay.
So at one point, I don't want to spoil anything, but at one point you're asked to make a definitive choice. When it comes down to it, I'm like, okay, who did it? And you can get that wrong and have to live with that choice for 2 more acts in the game.
Oh wow,
that sounds so heavy.
It's really interesting. And then Act 2 and 3 have their own mysteries as well. So like everything kind of compiles, and you start to learn like there's something going on in this town that's more than meets the eye.
That sounds really good.
I know, it does sound good.
That sounds too good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to get, because neither of you are gamers, I don't want to get like too deep in the weeds, but this, like the whole design of this game is just so well thought out. Like all of your decisions like have like a time element where, unless you're just talking to random people, that's not like eating up too much of the time in the day. But like if you're doing anything that like will take up a significant portion of the day, like if like somebody invites you to go hunting or something, you're like, okay, that's going to take up a chunk of your day. So you have to keep that in mind. Like if you commit to doing something, that's time that you only have so much time to solve the mystery before like I forget, like the Holy Roman Empire's guards or something come to investigate the dead baron. Like that's like your cutoff time. So you only have like a certain number of days to solve this mystery. So it adds like a nice weight to your decisions. It's not just like, I'm just going to talk to every single person and piece it together. Like you can only have so much time. And then like every meal time, like there's like the day is very structured. Like it's a farming community, so people like they work in the morning, they have a meal, then they work, and so it's a very structured day. So when you get to like mealtime, like everything stops, and you have to make a decision. Like who am I going to have my meals with? So that is like your opportunity to like gossip with people and try to get information that way. So it's just very interesting.
Every choice is important.
Every choice is important, yeah. And not every choice needs to be right. The story will progress, and you, one way or the other. So, yeah. I don't know. This is like definitely one of the best games I played, and I highly recommend it if you have the opportunity to play it.
I would try this.
Yeah, it looks cool. Just looking at the pictures online.
Yeah, it's really cool. The artwork's kind of like Secret of the Kells. Have you heard of that animation movie?
Oh, that's a beautiful style.
Yeah. Because it's all like very simple, crude drawings, they have to like differentiate the characters, so they kind of accentuate certain characteristics. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, like different fonts and the way like they talk, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got. Pentiment.
I'm maybe gonna try it. We'll see. I would like to share a movie that I'm into that I really want Steph, who is also on the Tony's episode with me. I would like her opinion about this movie, but I'll have to talk to her outside of the pod. Maybe she'll listen and take my recommendation. The movie is called White Nights from 1985, and it stars Mikhail Baryshnikov, the famous ballet dancer, Gregory Hines, the famous tap dancer, Helen Mirren, a very young Helen Mirren, who I don't think I'd ever seen a young Helen Mirren in a movie before, and I want to say Isabella Rossellini in maybe her first film role. And the movie was choreographed by the famous dancer Twyla Tharp. So the summary of this movie, Nikolai Rodchenko is a Russian ballet dancer who defected to the West. He's in a plane flying over Russia when suddenly a malfunction forces the plane to land there. The KGB tells everyone that his injuries are so severe that he has to remain confined for a while, but in reality, they want him to return to them. So they bring him to his old apartment, and an American, Raymond Greenwood, who defected to Russia several years ago, who is placed there to keep an eye on him. However, Rodchenko is not about to give in and is determined to escape. So with help from his former lover, he gets word to the American. And even Raymond is starting to be disillusioned with Russia and has to decide if he is going to do what he was sent to do or help Rodchenko. So this is a really 80s movie.
Yeah.
And it's just very 80s. And there's a lot of songs. There's like it's got a Lionel Richie song. It's got a lot of very 80s artists who contribute songs to the soundtrack. And it alternates between scenes with ballet and scenes with tap to go with the strengths of Baryshnikov and Jeffrey Hines. And then Gregory Hines. And then they come together sometimes to do sort of fusion dances, I guess. It's just a very interesting show. There's an in-world performance of Porgy and Bess in Russia in front of a bunch of Russians, like in Siberia, in this camp that Gregory Hines does. It's very interesting. The movie itself, I guess, is not good, but it's worth it just to see their performances because they're both so good at what they do. And I found out about this movie from an Instagram account that I follow who will recreate dances from movies and TV shows, just him by himself, and in a humorous way, but still good dancing. And he and a friend recreated one particular dance scene from this movie where Baryshnikov and Gregory Hines do this sort of martial arts inspired dance to this off-brand sounding 80s song, very generic but very catchy. And there's no context for why they're doing it. They're just in a dance studio and they keep giving these glances to each other. And the choreography is really subtle. It's not tap or ballet. They're doing karate pose. It's so strange, but it's a mesmerizing scene and an incredible dance. And I saw that scene and I was like, I gotta watch this movie. And then the rest of the movie just had me enthralled just because of how dated it was and how good the dances were. And Helen Mirren plays this Russian, because it turns out she is Russian, her background. But it's just such an interesting combination of performers doing an interesting combination of performances that could only have been made in 1985.
I love that.
Yeah. And the setting of it is they're in Russia and in Siberia during the season when the sun doesn't go down. That's why it's called White Nights. So the entire movie, it's never dark. It's always daylight, which gives such an eerie quality to it sometimes. But yeah, I really recommend it. Not because it's good, but because it's fun. I think it's enjoyable.
They're the best kind of movies sometimes.
Yeah.
I was looking for White Nights, can Knigghts.
No, this is with an N.
And yeah, I found it. Wow. Like, from the plot you're describing, it sounds like it could be like a 50s propaganda movie.
Yeah.
But it's an 80s propaganda movie.
Yes.
And wow, what a interesting find.
Like, it's very of its time, but also just very random. Like, it's a bunch of, it feels like sort of like a paint by numbers, like, it's the 80s, let's make a movie. Well, we've got the Cold War, and we've got some guys with feelings, and they've got to escape from a thing. Like, that feels like so many movies. But they're escaping with the power of dance.
I was going to say, if it wasn't, like, tap and ballet centered, like, if you replaced that with, like, hockey players, this would have been, like,
Or Rocky.
Top Gun. Or Rocky,
There's a Rocky movie.
This would have been a movie everyone knows about. But they chose...
Dance.
Dance.
You could swap out any, like, topic, and there's probably a movie that is that already.
Yeah, exactly.
But this one is dance.
That's so funny. Wow, and Helen Mirren, 1985 Helen Mirren, look at her. I'm tempted to watch this I don't know.
I think if you can turn your brain off, you might enjoy it, because I know sometimes you can enjoy sort of a campy, and this is sort of campy, but there's some real drama that happens because they have to, put something in
If it leans into camp, I think I'll enjoy it, but if it's melodrama, I will probably...
They're trying to be serious.
Yeah.
And they have, a couple of very serious real actors in it, so at some points it does succeed. But there's, like, an escape sequence where they're trying to, like... They're being watched by the KGB and they have to escape, so they play this tape of them having an argument really loud so that the KGB can hear them arguing while they try to escape out a window with, like, a rope made out of blankets. But then there's, like, more KGB guys outside, and, like, are they gonna make it? Like...
It made $42 million at the box office.
Not bad. This is a hidden gem, for sure.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Wow, good job. You always surprise me with your movie recommendations, because it's something I do consider myself a bit of a movie buff, and you always seem to find something that is not only something I haven't heard of, but seems like you made up at the same time.
The problem is that I only like really weird stuff.
You live in a very interesting part of the internet, and I'm glad you found it. I'm glad you brought back this for us.
So thanks to, I wish I remembered who that the Instagrammer is. Maybe I'll provide the link to that video for you to put in the show notes, because they created the dance really nicely with some ugly wigs.
I just love, like, the posters of this too, of Gregory
That's
Hines.
the scene.
Like,
that's them doing the dance.
Just like the dancing.
Wow, thank
That's
you,
amazing.
Tori.
And I will say, I think some of the parts of the movie are a little autobiographical to Baryshnikov, because he did defect from the Soviet Union. So that's why some of the serious stuff does work, because from him it's authentic, I think. But he's also not an actor, so...
No, he's not. I'm looking up who wrote this. Not much. Oh, Follies.
Follies?
He co-wrote Follies.
Who?
James Goldman?
Oh, yeah.
What a small world. It'll, like, interconnect like
Wow.
that.
Well, I only like a few specific
They had you
names.
tagged.
I was meant to find it.
Very niche.
Oh, he also wrote The Lion in Winter.
Yes.
So you know what? You might enjoy this as just a good quality film as well.
I'll check it out. Thanks, Tori.
Okay.
Rachel, what are you into?
Oh, hi. Okay. So I'm going to take it to a different direction. Do you remember that show Nailed It?
Yes, the cake one.
The cake show, right? Mm-hmm. It's so good. I've been watching it on Netflix. There's 6 seasons. It's just so funny to watch. So they have Nicole Byer is the host. She's
I love
like a
Nicole
comedian,
Byer.
actress. She's hilarious. And they have a French chef, Jacques something. And they also have, like, a special guest every week. So, like, they'll have, like, the best cake decorator in the world. I forget her name. But, she was on one week. And then they have, like, an actor on another week. And so these contestants who are normal people, like you and me, come on. And they have to bake on the fly these cakes that the show comes up with. And it's not something, like, normal, like, a birthday cake or whatever. It's something like... the Simpsons house or something, and you have to make, like, the furniture, and you only have, like, an hour, but it's so funny to watch everyone, like, scramble around and make them. And it's so relatable because it's like you ever see pictures of stuff like online and then you make it and you're like, what just happened here? I think it started too with like Pinterest. There's all those Pinterest pictures of like, looks so easy and it looks like, how could this be hard? And then you make it. You're like, what? This is a lot harder than it looks.
It's a great premise for a show because like, I think like why a lot of people watch these like cooking shows is like in the hopes that they'll fail. So to just cut out the whole like premise of like,
they will fail.
They're gonna fail.
Just watch these people's failures.
But it's also fun. Like you can tell they're having fun with it too.
But
They're not like
exactly.
serious.
Yeah.
Like they know they're not great bakers. And then the winner gets $10,000, which is cool.
Wow.
Something to sneeze at.
No. And then so when they're competing, there's two different parts of the show, and they have like secret things they can throw in. So I'm not describing this very well. So
like ingredients?
No, like a way to cheat or get ahead, kind of.
Nice.
So the person who does the worst in the first half gets like a special help, so they can call in like Nicole Byer to go over to the other contestants and like annoy them for like 3 minutes, like talk in your ear and like throw them off course and just be really annoying, and that'll hopefully make them mess
So
up
if you're
a little
doing
bit.
poorly, you get a little boost to help
Thank you. That's what it was. Yes.
It's like the Mario Kart of cooking shows.
Yeah. So they use it like all the time. Like I haven't seen an episode where they don't use it. And it works because sometimes they're really like, she's really messing me up a little bit back there.
That's funny.
But there's the Halloween episodes, there's Christmas episodes. I think there was kids versions too. It's not on anymore, which is a bummer. They stopped, I think, around 2022 when part of the show went on strike for, better contract, and they never picked back up again.
Yeah. 6 seasons though?
6 seasons started in 2018. Yeah.
That's too bad. I love Nicole Byer. I listen to her podcast like all the time, and when I started listening to it, I didn't know what she was famous for, but I get it now. I could totally see her doing this show.
And then I was looking up like little facts about the show, and they said they really do like taste the cakes people make.
Oh no.
So that's part of it, is they taste it to see like how it is. Not like,
That's probably the worst part.
But I mean, some of them that look terrible, they end up being pretty tasty.
Interesting.
So
Nicole Byer's podcast, I should say, it's called Newcomers. She does it with Lauren Lapkus, another actress who's also very, very funny. But the whole premise of the show is they watch movies that they don't want to watch, like nerdy movies generally, and then they just dump on it, like,
oh, that's funny.
And it's hilarious. So I could definitely see her like being a perfect fit for a show like this.
It's just so funny. And the chef, I guess he's a real chef. I'm not really sure.
Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know.
His name's Jacques, so
Sounds like a chef.
I mean, he wears a chef's
Fake
coat.
chef.
I don't know.
It seems like the kind of show that really could go on forever because the premise is so general that you could never get tired of seeing how the cakes go wrong, because every time it will be different in the worst way.
Yeah, I mean,
it has endless return on investment.
Exactly.
The worst is when they have to do faces, because faces are so hard to make. And, like, the professional looks so good. And they're like, oh, this is just like buttercream. I don't even use fondant. And then the people are like, the eyes are like little black dots,
Like the nightmare ditto faces.
Yeah.
That sounds funny.
Anyway, it's such a good show. It's on Netflix. There's also a copy of a book that Libby has called Nailed It, Baking Challenges for the Rest of Us. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to try it out at home, it's available on Libby. I just checked.
Make your own disasters at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. I have one more thing to talk about.
Tell us.
This is way less serious than my last two recommendations. It is a live show called The Naboo Movie.
I can't believe this is making it to the podcast.
I might not.
Oh, you know what it is?
It might not.
No, go for it.
So listeners, you probably know, if you're a regular listener, that I very much like Star Wars, particularly Episode 1. So to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 1, one of my favorite live comedy shows, the George Lucas Talk Show, did a live stage reading of the screenplay of Star Wars Episode 1, and they brought in some very, very funny people to play the roles, including Tony Hale as Qui-Gon Jinn, Vic Michaelis. Is it Michaelis? Anyways, Vic. As Obi-Wan, Haley Joel Osment as Anakin.
Oh, that's perfect casting.
Rachel, you might like to know that Matt Gorley from the Conan
really?
O'Brien podcast comes on and plays a half a dozen roles.
Oh, really? Oh,
including
cool.
Watto, my favorite character, Boss Nass, and Newt Gunray. He gets all the best roles.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he is hilarious. Tawny Newsome comes on as Padme. She's also great. James Bladen, who is... I don't really know what he's famous for, but a lot of people know him.
I've heard him on podcasts, I think.
He's on podcast fame. He's C-3PO and a few other characters.
Who plays Panaka?
One of Tawny Newsome's friends. I'm not sure what her name is. Bobby Moynihan from SNL plays Darth Maul and Yoda, and he is very, very funny. But my favorite is an actor named Eric Bauza, B-A-U-Z-A, who I'm not going to tell you what he's famous for because it would spoil the joke, but he absolutely runs away with this show. He plays Jar Jar. Just watch it. He is so funny in this show. It's the best thing I've seen this year. It's better than any movie I've seen this year. It is hilarious, and it's going to be added to my regular rotation of Star Wars films.
What is it on?
It's all on YouTube.
Okay.
It was filmed live at the Dynasty Typewriter, a famous theater in LA, and I missed my opportunity to watch it live. I was going to buy a ticket to watch it live, but it was a bad time. I couldn't have worked out, and I'm just so happy that they recorded it and put it all on YouTube. It only has 25,000 views. It should be higher. It's the best thing on the internet right now.
After this podcast, it's going to skyrocket.
I hope so.
You know.
Even if it gets one more view, I'll have done my work.
25,001.
It's so funny. I highly, highly recommend it. Even if you don't like episode 1, they make fun of it the whole time. Like, it's just a great show.
If you like to laugh.
Kids would like it?
Is it appropriate for kids?
That's a good question. They don't stray from the script too much. Most of the jokes are just them laughing at how absurd the dialogue is in these Star Wars movies. They never get raunchy or anything. I think it's
curious.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, my 7-year-old is into Star Wars, so
he might like the Jar Jar character.
Yeah.
Maybe give it a view. It never goes R.
Right.
But a 7-year-old, I don't know, might be on the fence. Check it out first. Just skim a little bit through it.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah, it's so good. It's just so funny. And if you like Matt Gorley, you should definitely watch it because he totally steals the show. So that's my last recommendation. It's called The Naboo Movie, and it has a super long subtitle like the 25th anniversary live stage reading of yada 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 yada. I'll put the link in the show notes, but definitely check it out.
I also have one more thing. I'm like Columbo today. Just one more thing.
Close us out, Tori.
What a thing to close us out on. Okay, so mine is a stage musical that I saw. I believe back in the winter at the Playwrights Horizon Off-Broadway Theater, which is a great venue. I recommend it to everyone. But the show is closed now, but it's about to reopen on Broadway, which I'm very excited about. So I thought I would put it out there. The show is called Teeth, and it is a staged version of a horror movie that came out, I think, in 2007. And I remember hearing a lot about it when it came out at school. People like to joke about it, but here is the description. Dawn O'Keefe is an evangelical Christian teen with a powerful secret not even she understands. When men violate her, her body bites back. Literally. From Pulitzer Prize and Tony winner Michael R. Jackson, who wrote A Strange Loop, and Anna K. Jacobs, who wrote Pop, Teeth, based on the cult classic film of the same name, is a fierce, rapturous, and savagely entertaining new musical, crackling with irrepressible desire and ancient rage. A dark comedy conjuring the legend of one girl whose sexual curse is also her salvation. So the main character, Dawn, has teeth in her nether regions, and it's very satirical, like a black comedy, this play. And it just tells the story of her. She's very devout and chaste, and she's in this group that is all about chastity, and but she and her boyfriend decide that they want to take the next step, and when he takes it a little too far, her body reacts, and it starts this gory trail of every time a man violates her, which is unfortunately a lot. The themes in the show are very heavy. Her body fights back because she is actually like this ancient deity that is put on Earth to avenge wronged women, pretty much. So the way that it tells the story, the songs are very catchy, but it hits emotional notes, but it's also really funny. And there was real blood splatter. I did get hit. I was sitting in the front row. It's just such an interesting concept for a movie, let alone a Broadway play. And you don't hear a lot of horror plays or horror musicals or horror adaptations on the stage. So seeing how they did it really successfully in a way that captured all of the emotions you feel when you watch a horror movie. Like, you're scared for the characters. There's a lot of really funny moments. A couple of the songs were recorded and are available on streaming, and there's a song where it's all of the girls of this church youth group singing about their virtue, but in a rock song that's very fun. Like, I just recommend looking it up, and if you feel like going to see a show on Broadway, looking it up when it makes the transfer, because it just really did it for me, the show.
It sounds great.
No, it sounds really intriguing.
And the performances were very strong. Not a lot of big names. Stephen Pascal, who was recently in a production of Assassins that was really acclaimed. He played like the dad church leader zealot in a way that made me really uncomfortable, but also laugh. Like, it's got all of the things in it, but also just be aware of how dark the concepts are. And I would not bring even a teenager to see this show. I think this is very much for adults, but very entertaining.
I have heard about this movie, and I'm glad these types of movies can be made still. Like, I like that people are taking risks with some pretty out there ideas, and it seems very interesting.
I've never seen the movie.
No, it didn't. It doesn't seem to be getting great reviews.
No, which is interesting that they were able to turn it into something of quality. Yes, that was back in the that's the one about the tire. Rubber. Yep. Like, there's one called Blood Car, I think. Like, they really were making like really bad campy horror movies for a little while back in the early 2000s. They don't do it so much anymore. And this is such an interesting way to keep that alive.
Yeah, I liked Rubber a lot. If it's as good as Rubber, I'll check it out.
I have not seen Rubber.
I liked Rubber. I think I might have even seen it in the theaters. I remember liking it a lot the first time I saw it, and less so much the second time. But it is an interesting, like, meta commentary on violence in movies and audience participate. Like, it's an interesting movie. It has ideas, and I'm glad it was made. But it is a movie about a killer tire. But it's aware that it's a movie about a tire that rolls along the highway and kills people with its mind.
So this is actually our final recommendation of the episode, is watch Rubber.
Just go watch Rubber. Forget everything else.
Yeah.
What an episode, man. A little bit of everything in this one.
Mm-hmm.
What an episode. We did it. Thank you, Tori and Rachel, for being on a What Are You Into episode. And we'll check you next time
between the shelves.
We've been in this room